Prism it right, okay? Prism it right. So listen, here's why you can't call me anything other than black. I don't know you. That's what I prefer. And please, do not forget the capital B. Prism it right. Did you hear me say that's what I prefer? Me, just me. My identity, right? So ask me how I would like to be called. I've got 8 minutes to get through and unpack this whole acronym and why I've got a problem with it. Why can't we just be black people? Why put us in the box with indigenous and other peoples of color? The consignment of the very term black, indigenous, people of color, it ironically excludes the very folks that you intend to center and include. But here's the thing, even about my blackness, I've not fully begun to unravel all of the complexities of the authenticity of my nature. I am colorful. I am not a person of color. Let's be very clear, okay? My blackness, my privilege to have come through such a rich and deep bloodline of black ancestry, even its nuances, I am still crawling up my family tree to learn. But it seems that the use of the acronym just makes you comfortable with not saying black. I need y'all to give me some feedback. Do you appreciate the term BIPOC? I don't call myself a BIPOC. I'm referred to as a BIPOC person. I don't walk around calling myself or referring to myself as a person of color. So no, you don't just get to call me a person of color. Are we in? Okay, because that's what you're doing. You're an inch away from calling me colored. Are you calling me colored? I'm not colored. I'm a black woman. So if that felt tight, if that felt uncomfortable, right? To consider that you were perhaps calling me colored, taking us all the way back to the 1960s. It is as offensive to put me in this acronym box as to assume that you know everything about me. You don't. The whole point is that we need to practice having conversations with individual people. If your intention is to center Black people, like the individuals who are a part of a diaspora that is so deeply complex and nuanced, then you can't just lump me in a box and create this pretty little bow around the aggregations that are still yet not clear enough. The whole point of all of this is that we have to begin entering into conversations one at a time. The way we fix this racism issue, the way we heal our biases, is one relationship at a time. But if we're talking about identities being so complex and so nuanced because of our history, here are some helpful solutions to appropriately respond to this idea of the use of the acronym. Ask. Let me ask a question. Do non-Black people refer to BIPOCs as BIPOCs in their faces? I don't know. What if you don't call us that in front of us? Why refer to us as that behind our backs? Like what's the benefit of creating this acronym if it doesn't serve the people it refers to? What's the purpose? We are focusing on these superficialities that have no direct benefit to healing the injustices caused by the fruit of systemic racism. Remove the actual barriers to entry. I don't care that you keep calling it a master bedroom if your intention is to do something about systemic racism. How do you pull up a tree? Not by the leaves or the branches. You have to actually dig up the root. So get to the core of what the actual problem is. Legitimate, authentic, conversations about specificities that are important to the people who have been offended by not previously being included in these conversations. It's really odd to me that the BIPOC acronym was created without the consensus, ideas, suggestions of the very people it identifies. Strange. And it was only to make non-Black people more comfortable with not saying the word Black? Call me Black and put a capital B on it. For those of you who are a part of the diaspora, I want your thoughts. I want your feedback. What do you prefer for a non-Black person to call you or to refer to you as? If you are white, when is the last time you asked a BIPOC person what their preference was? Let me also give you some tools for conversation and some supports. The kinds of questions that you can ask are, what would you prefer that I call you? What is your ethnicity and how does your identity or your nationality inform your current experiences of your Blackness? It's a really good question, right? It's a conversation starter. It's not just a question. The whole point is that we haven't been talking to each other well enough, clearly enough, effectively enough to heal some of these disparities that exist in ways that they really don't need to. In what ways could I refer to you that would affirm you? You could also ask, what are some ways in which I can refer to you outside of your company that would be affirming to you, to your race, to your family, to your people, to your culture? Like, that's a really fair question. Would you be comfortable to share other contexts in which the BIPOC acronym makes sense? Is it appropriate for me to use this acronym here at work? I am going to provide links to reference the inspiration for this particular discussion. So there's a lot to give thought to, but again, it begins with intention to have the legitimate, specific, and authentic conversations that lead to building relationships. Healthy ones, I hope. Whew, okay. Call me Black because that's what I prefer. But if you're talking to my Black sister or my Black brother, and they prefer the term African American, then use what they prefer. But you see, it requires a conversation. Prism.